Hello, America. Today's show topic is Trump's transgender service ban in the military, or whatever you want to call it. Sit back, buckle up, and hang on. Yes, we're just getting started. Oh, by the way, warning. The show you are about to see and hear may be viewed as offensive to some due to the nature of the material presented and some of the language that may be expressed.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, how the hell are you doing? That's right, I'm your host, Daniel Stafford, and you are listening to The Stafford Voice, where we are conservative in a world of liberal. And yes, wow, we got a lot to talk about. And it all kind of stems from one ridiculously moronic topic. Something that I thought that we were kind of above in this country. Anyway, look, as we get started, I want to remind you there are many ways to listen or watch whatever you're doing right now. And as you get ready to hit that like button or set the channel as a favorite, whatever you do so you don't get left behind, share the show. Share it, whether you're on Spreaker or iHeart or here on the YouTubes and you're chatting it up with everybody else here in the chat room. Share it with your friends. I want to see you guys over on Twitter. Tag me, whatever you want to do. Slick, I see you over there. Also, we've got Slick on some moderator duty tonight. Again, he did such a fantastic job. He's back again. So, if you're acting up, he's just going to boot your ass. So, by the way, I need to remind you. If you miss the show, or you want to come back to it, you'll be able to. You'll be able to catch the replay, so just sit tight. There's no need to panic. Because, hey, I've got you. In the case you aren't already following on social media, you can find me over on the Twitters or Gab at Stafford Voice. Or you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram, any other social site of your choosing, wherever, whatever. I see we got Refill in there for some hump day hijinks. That's right. Who's got the booting powers? Slick. Slick has the booting powers again. Okay. Let me remind you. All you got to do on any social site of your choosing, whatever you want to do, wherever you are, all you got to do, just search for the Stafford Voice, and we're probably there. You guys already know this. Okay? Let me give another special shout out to those of you that are in the chat. We've got, I know Jessica over there is finishing up after her show. I haven't seen that she's popped up in over here. We've got Refill. He is complete, and Ron is, I think a lot of you guys are a little confused in what day it is or what night it is, whatever. I don't know whether you think it's a Monday or a Wednesday or whatever. We've got, it's all over the place, okay? I know. I don't know, maybe we'll need to make this our regular backup slot of the Wednesday type thing. Oh no, Refill's got another Mountain Dew Kiwi Green Apple one. Oh boy. I don't really know what to say to that. But we got Jessica also. So there's two different Jessicas. You'll see one with an I, one with a Y. Jessica with the Y would be our daughter-in-law, who is doing everything in her powers to not drop a baby during the middle of the show. So if you guys want to offer a few prayers for her, I know she's doing the best she can. She's having some mild contractions, has been for a couple of days. Doctors won't do anything because she hasn't hit that certain 39 week day or 39 weeks. Her water hasn't broke. She's only popped the plug, having contractions. The head is right there. So far, everything is lined up to be good. It's just that the Gavinator's not ready yet. I don't know what his deal is. He's gonna give his parents a run for his money. Maybe he is. Maybe he's waiting for my birthday instead of the missus or Daniel or instead of Daniel's. So we got a lot of birthdays right there at the end of July, the first couple days in August. So he's just trying to pick his favorite right now. Me. Okay, anyway, look, we got to get on with the show. We've got some stuff to cover. And quite frankly, honestly, let me just start by saying this. I have absolutely no issue, not one, with anyone who is homosexual, whether they are gay or a lesbian or transsexual, transvestite. I don't care if you're still questioning. I really don't. I just want to get that out there. I support you in whatever your decision is. I may or may not agree with it 100%. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I still love you nonetheless because that's what I've been taught to do. I'm not going to judge you off of any of it. Okay? What I do want to take a look at is obviously this whole Trump thing, which is what happened earlier this morning. And this kind of prompted me to want to do a show tonight. To do the makeup show on this particular topic, I felt was necessary. What started all of this? Well, Trump got out on Twitter, as we all know he does. Ron says over in the YouTube chat, he says, everyone hates the Transformers. Anyway, I'm going to keep my eye on the chat. I want to get through all of this. So we got Donald Trump, President of the United States, gets on Twitter, the ultimate town hall for him. It's such an attention getter. He must stay up at night and watch how many tweets or how many retweets and likes that he gets, because it's mind-blowing. Anyway, so he says, after consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you. I want to take a look at this in a couple of different ways. Okay? And I think by the end of the show, we're probably still going to wind up being on the fence. Now, let me echo what Refill's saying. I don't know how this is going to go over. I'm against this ban. In and of itself, being trans isn't enough reason to disqualify someone, in my opinion. Hang on to that, Refill. Please. Hang on to that, because we've got some stuff that we're going to share that goes along with this, with exactly what you said. Okay, and I'm going to back up what Slick is saying. He says, yes, it is, Refill. Those people, for the most part, are not deployable. We're going to come back to that. This falls in line exactly with what Secretary of Defense Mad Dog Mattis said a month ago. He said this a month ago, that they needed an extra 6 months to give military leaders a chance to review its potential impact. Now, that falls on line with the request from those military leaders who were formally requesting him to approve a delay. The leadership within the military wants to put a halt to it, and they want a better look at it. They want a better look at it. They want to see how many different ways this impacts things. I mean, set aside we all know that this is a social justice league type thing, okay? We're pushing the social experiment mentality to everybody. You know, let me find the number here. Okay. We have approximately 1.3 million active duty members in the military. Now, these numbers are according to a study last year by Rand Corporation. Not by Rand Paul, but by Rand Corporation. They're estimating that there are roughly 2,450 who are transgender. I'm not so good at math, maybe because it's racist. That's less than 0.01% of our active duty military population. Less than 0.01%. Even on the high end, we go up to 0.03 or 4 of those who are in the military are transgender. So the voice of the few becomes the voice of the majority? That's not the way it works. We can push the idea that this is a social experiment all we want, but it's bullshit. It's absolutely fucking asinine to say that this is anything less. There is a duty of those in the military. That is to serve and protect and defend the United States and its citizens and uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. And somewhere in there, it says that that's exactly what they do. They fight for the fucking country. They don't go out there and fight for the right to cut off their goddamn dick or sew on some fucking tits. That's not what this is about. There's got to be a story behind all of this. And what is it? The New York Times even reports on this. And it's ridiculous because it's the New York frickin' slime that's reporting on this. But they hide it. It's a budget issue. We got idiots out here all over. We got social justice keyboard warriors sitting behind a computer screen on their Obama phones in mommy and daddy's basement, bitching and griping about how prejudiced this is. Oh, well, we're not compassionate enough. We don't understand. This goes against everything that they've been fighting for. Bullshit. It doesn't go against any of that. It goes... The president has a job to do, and that is to ensure that our military is ready to fight. That their readiness level is pegged. That nothing is going to slow them down. It doesn't matter if Corporal Panties over here says that Private Boner is okay to fight. There are other issues that go along with it. I've got a long list of other people that need to be accepted into the military before we worry about those who want to whack their dick off or Velcro some tits on. This is stupid. So you look at this issue, and this is the way Trump works. This is the way he works. This is the quote-unquote art of his deal. He goes one way in order to be able to take it the next way. Let me see. I'm trying to see what... let's see. Refill says, not everyone's mentally capable. No, they're not. I'm not arguing that some cannot do it, but some are. And then Nero, which is Daniel, our son, he says, in my opinion, I think it's really stupid. I don't want to say it's un-American when it is, but I feel like anyone should be able to be part of our army. Hashtag America. Let's see. Slick says we need to have the most physically and mentally sound people in the military. I couldn't agree more. It's not a social club. It's not a democracy either. Okay. And no, there is no right to military service. It's voluntary. If you want to volunteer for the military and you want to serve this country, you get in line. Here's what I'm saying. Daniel, pay attention. Because Slick is 100% correct. There is no right to military service. I don't have the right to go fight for my country. It's a privilege. Just like getting in my car and driving down the road is a privilege. It is an opportunity. I got in line, said, hey, I'm willing to raise my right hand to support and defend my country. And they said, okay, prove to me that you're mentally and physically capable of doing exactly that. I had to pass rigorous physical tests. I had to pass a mental competency test. You know, which way does the gear turn? Well, is it A, B, C, or D? How much, if train A is going in this direction versus train B? You're wrong. It is a privilege. It is a choice, yes. It is a choice. If you want to fight, then you can. But it is the highest privilege and honor to be able to do that. But Refill, I want to come back to what you're saying. I'm going to come back to it, I promise. Denying the privilege based solely on being trans. We'll get to it, I promise. But I wanted to touch on that nobody has a right to be in the military. It is a privilege. It is an honor. Okay? Once you make it past the tests and you qualify, oh boy. Okay. Let's get back to this. Let's look let's look for just a second about what the story is behind the story. And that this is a budget issue. Okay? It goes back to the art of the deal. This goes back to Trump's art of the deal. He took this so far one way in order to draw attention to himself so we can focus on the issue at hand. Because one of the things that Trump has said is he wants to pass a budget. He's so money-oriented. He wants to focus on the budget. Well, it was what? An hour or 2 hours after Trump. I gotta find her tweet. Where did her tweet go? Okay. Kansas Representative Vicky Hartzler. She tweeted out, "Pleased to hear that at Real Donald Trump shares my readiness and cost concerns and will be changing this costly and damaging policy. Hashtag readiness." This is a budget issue, okay? The budget at hand was filled with absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And tucked away in there was spending for being able to chop someone's you-know-what's off. Or sew some new ones on. No, budget doesn't need to be in quotes. The budget is the story behind the story. It's the one thing that's going to take precedence over all of this, because while everybody is over on Twitter talking about how we're losing rights as transgender people, what are they doing? They're hashing out how they're going to put together a budget. This is a budget concern. It's a budget concern when Trump says, "I'm going to go through line by line, precept on precept," and he says, "I'm going to look at the costs of everything. If we can pay for it, we will. If not, it's out." And this is it. Okay? So the RAND Corporation study found that allowing transgender people to serve openly in the military would, quote, "have minimal impact on readiness and healthcare costs." But wait, there's more. There's more. That goes in line for the Pentagon. It estimated that healthcare costs would rise $2.4 million to $8.4 million a year. Yes, it's a small amount. And I understand that we're talking semantics here about how, it's just a small amount. We're bitching and griping over $6 million when we've got $1 trillion in debts. Trillions of dollars in debts. But you know what? It starts with saving $1 fucking dollar. One! It starts with $1. We can't make sure. There is no way that there is absolutely no effing way that we can ensure we have the most lethal fighting force if we're setting money aside for transgender rather than making sure our equipment is up to snuff. We can't. The leadership in the military can't be. There is no way that our leadership in the military can ensure that our fighting force is 100% when they're worried about what bathroom Private Dillhole can use versus which one he or she can't use. Yes, it's a small amount, but it starts somewhere. Every conservative, if you claim to be a conservative or a libertarian, this should fire you up. It's not the fact that Trump is out here talking shit on transgender people. Because I guarantee you he's got a soft spot for him. He doesn't care what gender somebody says they are. He's trying to raise an issue on the budget. And it pains me that I have to come out in support of this. And I'm not supporting the fact that we had to go about this way. He could have done it a different way. But it's Trump's art of the deal. Okay? It's Trump's art of the deal. So let's go back to sorry, I just saw Slick pop up. He said, "Let me put it this way. Do you want a weak-ass military like Canada? Because that's how you get a weak-ass military like Canada." Yeah, like a French rifle. Never been fired, dropped once. Okay, let's go back to what Kansas Representative Vicky Hartzler said. Or, I'm sorry, Missouri. And yeah, there's plenty of gay and lesbian people out there that are stronger. I don't deny that. And maybe they are mentally competent, but that's a one-on-one basis. That is a one-on-one basis. But let's go back to what Hartzler was saying. And why is she even an issue? Because she proposed an amendment that would bar the Pentagon from spending money on transition surgery or related hormone therapy, and other Republicans have pressed for similar provisions. Okay, fine. We're getting somewhere. It's about damn time. Maybe we're finally going to get on board and get Republicans to actually do something. So again, we look at the cost issue. Yes, even if this ban comes through, it's going to wind up in the courts. We get that. We completely get it. But let's look at let's go way below the fold on this New York Slime article. Okay. Let's see. Okay, the move drew praise from Tony Perkins, the president of the Conservative Family Research Council, which had opposed the Pentagon spending bill over the dispute about paying for gender reassignment surgery. On Wednesday, Mr. Perkins said he would now support the legislation, effectively sending a message to conservative Republican lawmakers that they would not pay a price with their core supporters for voting for it. I quote, this is from Mr. Perkins, that he said in a statement, I quote, I applaud President Trump for keeping his promise to return to military priorities and not continue the social experimentation of the Obama era that has crippled our nation's military. The military can now focus its efforts on preparing to fight and win wars rather than being used to advance the Obama social agenda. Again, we go back to the fact that the reason this was brought up, was because we wanted to take attention away from trying to be able to pass a budget. This is a money issue. We get bent out of shape over stuff like this without slowing down and realizing something else is happening. Let me go over to the chat room real quick. Let's look at the chat room. What's being said over there? Let's see. We got Ron over there. He says, I really could do without having some butch dyke squatting over the urinal next to me, much less having the military have to worry about it. Completely true. I mean, most people these days have forgotten what it's like to have urinal etiquette. You always leave an open one between you and the next guy or gal, because apparently with the shiwi, they can do that themselves. Let's see. Slick says, gays were banned outright till Bill Clinton's Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Even after that, you would be kicked out for being openly gay. And we actually had somebody when I was stationed in Texas, when I was stationed down in Fort Hood, who came out as openly gay, and, well, he faced the consequences. Okay. So Refill disagrees. He disagrees with Slick. He says gays should absolutely be allowed in the military. Okay. Let's get back on topic about this whole, and I can guarantee you tomorrow when we wake up, there's going to be another slew of articles and another slew of statements. But here's one. Now, this is a rather lengthy statement, This came from John McCain. This was after he had his anal cavity searched, which found nothing. But he said, actually, they found something, and prayers go out to McCain and the family, but I'm being slightly sarcastic. He says, quote, "The president's tweet this morning regarding transgender Americans in the military is yet another example of why major policy announcements should not be made via Twitter." I think we can all agree on that. We've talked about that many times. Okay, let's continue. The statement was unclear. The Department of Defense has already decided to allow currently serving transgender individuals to stay in the military, and many are serving honorably today, and which they are, and I have no dispute about that. Any American who meets current medical and readiness standards should be allowed to continue serving. Again, I'm going to go back to what Refill had said earlier. We'll come back to it. There is no reason to force service members who are able to fight, train, and deploy to leave the military, regardless of their gender identity. We should all be guided by the principle that any American who wants to serve our country and is able to meet the standards, again, able to meet the standards, we'll cover that later, should have the opportunity to do so and should be treated as the patriots they are. I don't disagree with that. The Department of Defense is currently conducting a study on the medical obligations it would incur, the impact on military readiness, that's a key thing, and related questions associated with the accession of transgender individuals who are not currently serving in uniform and wish to join the military. I do not believe that any new policy decision is appropriate until that study is complete and thoroughly reviewed by the Secretary of Defense, our military leadership, and the Congress. Okay. Well, you guys are real chatty over there in the chat room. I like it. Okay. Refill. Here's what I want. I want you to pay close attention. Let me make... In the chat room, let me know that I got your attention. Because here's what I want you to understand. I want you to understand that there are pages and pages and pages of medical reasons that could keep a person from the military, whether they want to serve permanently or just temporary. I want you to listen to this. So I'm just going to go through a few of them. If you are too short, men, if you are below 60 inches, or women below 58 inches, well, guess what? You can't serve. If you're too tall, if you're over 80 inches, women, that's above 80 inches as well, you can't serve either. If you have silicone breast implants, you're probably not going to be serving. If you have endometriosis, nope. If you have persistent ovarian cysts, wow, this is starting to sound like we're against women. Yeah, no, you're not gonna be okay. Organ transplant recipient, nope. Here's one. Finally, we get to the men. Maybe undescended testicles, meaning if your nuts have not dropped yet, you can't serve. Here's a funny one. With I guess you could maybe line this up with transgender. Amputated penis. If you have an amputated penis and the stump prevents proper urination, you're probably not going to be serving.
Seriously?
Yes. Seriously. So if you chop your dick off and you can't pee right and you need help... okay, so...
I get what you're...
Seriously. Lorena whatever that Bobbitt guy's name... John Wayne Bobbitt or whatever his name... John Bobbitt, whatever his name was, he can't serve in the military. It doesn't, because they sewed it back on and it doesn't work right. I mean, it... People will pay for anything. Okay. If you have an unrepaired cleft palate or lip, nope. Okay, here you go. Now, let's get into some of these transgender type things. Okay, wait, here's another one. Sleep apnea. No. Exactly. I don't know how I was able to. Allergies to insects that can cause anaphylaxis shock. If you're allergic to an... Oh, son of a... If you're allergic to bees, that's not right. That's not right. I knew at least 2 people who were allergic to bees, and they carried around an EpiPen, and they were fine. We did have to have bee patrol though, not pea patrol, bee patrol. Anyway, so maybe that one falls under the temporarily type thing. I thought that one was interesting. If you are sensitive to the sun, and which is actually interesting. Here's a key side note, and I've witnessed this. While stationed in the military, while stationed down in Fort Hood, Texas, it's hotter than Billy Hill, I'll give you that. Here's the thing. If you went out on the weekend, if you were out on the weekend and you got a sunburn, Monday morning you reported for duty and you were told to get your gear, you had to go for a road march and you had to go hump it out. And you couldn't because your sunburn was bad. You were going to get in trouble. You were going to face reprimands. You are 100% government property. If you go out and you get a tattoo and it causes an issue with you being able to carry out the duty at hand, the duty that you are told to perform, if there is an issue, you will face the consequences. Now, Ron, I'm sorry to hear that, because he says no military for him because of sleep apnea. But damn it, services are right. Huh. Okay, let's get back onto this whole transgender type thing. Here's 2 different ones. Antisocial behaviors. Yeah, that's right. Antisocial behaviors can keep you out of the military. Personality disorder. So antisocial behaviors, like what Slick just says. Depression, anxiety attacks, and other emotional problems. Which, let's take a look at personality disorder. Maybe they made these changes after I was in, because I've got some issues that... Oh, anyway. Okay, so Refill asked the question. So, let me get this straight up. Is it possible that there is at least one transgendered person who is mentally and physically capable of serving? Just one. We don't know. That is an acceptable answer. At this point, we don't know. But there's something more to that. And this falls in line. Okay. This falls exactly in line with the whole transgender military accommodations thing that I want to cover. Now this comes from a guy that wrote a book. The name of his book was When Harry Became Sally, Responding to the Transgender Moment. He says that the best biology, psychology, and philosophy conclude that sex is a biological reality and that gender is the social expression of that reality. So with that, we come to realize that gender, if it's a social expression, then is it not treatable? Is it then considered a psychological disorder? Because for years and years, it was. And in a lot of circles, it still is considered a psychological disorder. So again, Trump got out there and said all of this. This was all already announced. Remember that Mad Dog announced a 6-month delay in order to review all of this. And if it falls in line with the nature of the military and its mission. Because the mission of our armed forces is winning wars and protecting the nation. Any personnel policy must prioritize military readiness and mission-critical purposes first. The mission at hand always trumps whether you choose to stand to pee or sit to pee. But this goes to what I believe it was Refill saying earlier in the chat, just a few minutes ago. Unfortunately, 41% of people who identify, and this goes along with this falls in line with what you guys are talking about right now in the YouTube chat. Unfortunately, 41% of people who identify as transgender will attempt suicide at some point in their lives, compared to 4.6% of the general population. And people who have had transition surgery are 19 times more likely than average to die by suicide. People who identify as transgender suffer a host of mental health and social problems, including anxiety, depression, and substance abuse, at higher rates than the general population. Okay? So, let's take a look at just a few of the different types of accommodations that the military basically is forced to make because of this social experiment. Okay? And let me highlight something else that's said in this article. It says Obama's policy change ignored the reality that placing individuals who might be at increased risk for suicide or other psychological injury in the most stressful situation imaginable, the battlefield. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these different accommodations. How about the privacy? Given the nature of military living quarters, it's unclear where soldiers who identify as transgender could be housed. It's true. Here's another one. That all service members remain combat ready at all times. He goes on, he breaks it down by saying, but soldiers who have quote-unquote transitioned medically require regular hormone treatments and follow-up visits after sex reassignment surgery. It is unclear how someone who has transitioned would be deployable. You know, if you have to every hour or every 3 hours you have to take your hormone treatments just to keep you mentally quote-unquote competent. I can't read what that said. 8 minutes. Okay. We're fine. Then you're not deployable. Here's another one. That all service members be held to the same physical fitness standards, and that these standards be based on the reality of biological sex, not the subjective quote-unquote gender identity. No, I'm bouncing back and forth, but I'm trying to really pay attention to what you guys are saying in the chat. And refill, honestly, we shouldn't give a damn about it. We shouldn't, but we have to look at the overall fighting effectiveness. And that's where some of these things come at a one-on-one consultation. Because the military isn't about an individual. It's not about a group. It is about the overall unit as one fighting force. So that's why. So you kind of maybe I saw that wrong about what you said, but you're right but wrong. It's not about the individual, but it is. Okay, so here's what Nero is saying. So let's say someone with PTSD gets let out of active duty but has a few years of non-active duty and they need him again. Are they going to say no because it's a mental disorder? Yes, they will. They will not call him back. I don't believe they will. If he is on record as having PTSD or any other traumatic brain injury, you are not deployable under any circumstance, because you're putting the lives of other soldiers at risk, and they do not make those risks. They don't even calculate risks. Exactly. They're not mentally capable of doing things like that. And let me, I don't know, can somebody, Slick, I think that you saw it, J.R. Salinger, can you find, and I know how difficult it is to put a link in the chat, but if you're on Twitter, Nero, I think you are. I want you to look it up, and I'll remind me, and I'll show it to you. But he beautifully lays out exactly an answer to your question. It was a series of about 10 tweets. Okay? He answers that question for you. So that one kind of answers itself about being held to the same physical fitness standards. And honestly, I never really agreed with that. When I was in, I never really agreed with it. That because I was a guy, I was held to a different standard of how many push-ups, sit-ups, and the 2-mile run that I could do. I never really agreed with the fact that, okay, well, if she's expected to keep up with me on the battlefield, how come she doesn't have to do the same amount of push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run? Thanks, Slick. I appreciate that. That is a fantastic read. Please, go check out at J.R. Salzman and read his read what he said earlier. It was incredibly written. I couldn't agree more with what he said. Okay. So here's another one. That scarce taxpayer monies, again, we're be honest, how many push-ups can I do? You can do about 12. When I first, day one in the military, that's how many push-ups I did on day one. My pre-physical fitness test was 12. I can do way more than that. I will say this. I tell you what, I will do that. Over the weekend, I will show you that when I was in the military, I can pass the bare minimum of push-ups in a minute. If you want me to give you proof, you can ask Nero in the chat. He will vouch for me that I can do at least 50 push-ups in a minute. So that is not difficult at all. Not difficult at all. I tell you what, I'll figure out a way that we can do this. I'll figure out a way to put a video together and show you. I may just have to do a live stream on Periscope or Facebook or something. I don't know. But I do want to remind everybody, please, we're all friends here. Let's remember that. We can agree to disagree on things, and we don't need to, we just need to leave some things alone. And we can push each other, but we do need to stay in line and remember that we are all people. Okay? Let's not take a lot of this overly personal. So, okay. I'm going to end with this. We're almost done with time. Refill, you're not. I completely disagree. And Ron, I'm with you. It's not. You guys pull each other's chains all the time. So again, I want to keep a lot of respect in the chat room. The military is personal to a lot of us, but please, can we? I want to keep things on a very, very respectful level. So let's not cause any division amongst any of us. Okay, so let's go with I found 5 tweets that came out throughout the day, and I want to say, so these are the top 5 tweets. We're starting at number 5, the Ellen DeGeneres, Ellen Show. We should be grateful to the people who wish to serve, not to turn our backs on them. Banning transgender people is hurtful, baseless, and wrong. Number 4, again, these are all celebrities. Rob Reiner, not allow... Shh. I'm almost done. Not allowing transgender people to serve in military. Donald Trump again shows astounding ignorance and bigotry. Simply put, Donald Trump is a hateful human being. Number 3, Joe Biden. Expect more out of you. Every patriotic American who is qualified to serve in our military should be able to serve. Full stop. Yeah, but even if you have a club foot, you can't serve, even if you want to. Okay? Remember that. Okay, Full Frontal Sam. After consultation with our staff, here is our current statement regarding at POTUS's transgender service tweets. F you. I'm not going to repeat exactly what you guys get the point. And number one, Chelsea Manning. I don't even know. She is not working at all. And this shows the mental clarity that comes along with this. Number 1 tweet of our top 5. Today is further reason we should dismantle the bloated and dangerous military intel police state to fund healthcare for all. And then uses those ridiculous emojis. Hashtag, we got this. Yeah, just like you had your buddy's back when you were in. Oh, no, you were completely wrong. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in on a not-so-average night. I want to thank you, each of you. Yes, we are still live. We are almost done. But I want to remind you that is all the time we have for this week, and God willing, the Stafford Voice will be back next week. Follow me on Twitter at Stafford Voice, or look me up on Facebook by looking for the Stafford Voice. You can email your questions, comments, or concerns to thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and God bless.